Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings DFS Slate breakdown. First of all, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. It was a good time for me. I got to see a lot of family. But now we get right back into our DFS slate action here with a bit of a smaller Saturday Prem slate here. And it is, of course, a Man City slate, as you can see right there, minus 425 against Leeds at home. We do have Brentford here home against Burnley. They're pretty big favorites there at minus 220, which I think is a little generous for Brentford. Like, I think they've been solid, but I don't know if I'd give them like minus 220. I don't see either team really playing particularly well in general over the season. Sunderland and Bournemouth, as well as a third game on the slate, both plus odds there, and what should be a pretty tight game between those two teams. They're pretty solid. In terms of our goal contribution odds here, like Holland minus 350. No shock there. Marmoush Cherky with minus odds as well. Foden, Doku, Savini all like plus 100-ish. So yeah, it just feels like a big city slate here. Over Brentford, like Thiago, minus 220 for Brentford here. He's kind of the main focal point for that team right there. He just gives just such a large chunk of their goals. Shada, Watara, Reece Nelson, Damsgaard, all plus 100 to plus 150-ish as well. Sunderland and Bournemouth, a bunch of guys just like hovering around plus 100 here. Semenya leading the way at plus 105 in that game. In terms of our projected lineups and set pieces for Brentford, it should be I don't want to say Damsgaard and Watara splitting. That's what they've been doing for corners the last couple of games. But like sometimes they'll have Damsgaard having a slightly larger share than a true split. Henderson will take like some free kicks too. And then you got like Coyote who takes these long throw-ins, which are almost like set pieces in themselves. Brentford are a team that works super hard on set pieces, so makes it a little bit messy at times, and they try to really fully optimize set pieces to their best of their ability, which makes them a little bit unpredictable at times instead, but it will change things up slightly here and there. And then for Burnley, it should be Hartman and Jaden Anthony splitting. Man City should be Foden and Cherky splitting if we go off of what they've been doing recently. Rangers had a monopoly in midweek in Champions League, of course, with both Foden and Cherky starting on the bench. Well, I think Savinho maybe had a corner or two as well, actually, but it was mostly Rangers. And then for Leeds with them, I think, yeah, Longstaff out for this game makes them a lot more messy. Like Goodmunson, Aronson, Gruyev. I wouldn't be surprised really any of those three guys having set pieces. If Stoch is out too, who'd be like kind of the backup set piece taker, so it just makes things super messy right now for them. This is pretty much a wait and see game, I'd say, kind of to see what they do here without those other guys. Sunderland and Bournemouth. Sunderland should be Shaka and Enzo Lefi, and Bournemouth should be Scott splitting with either Brooks or Tavernier in this team. Brooks didn't have a corner in their last league game. He's had Tavernier. He has had priority over Tavernier in the past. However, he got subbed early, and you can't. I don't really know if they had any corners on the side, and if they did, like it could have been a one-off if Tavernier took it. A Trooper, I think, also had a corner last game, so it's just a bit of a messy situation here. Scott's a guy who will have right-footed sets in this kind of lineup. Although, like if Lewis Cook starts, then just another extra guy who could kind of muddle things up a little bit. So it's another team that is pretty messy, frankly. In terms of our pricing now, Holland is only 10,800, which I think is relatively soft considering the matchup here. He's been cheaper. Like he was 8K at Brighton, which was just kind of outrageous that he was that underpriced. But this is probably the best matchup he's had all season here, and he's only 10,800. Like he was 12K against Bournemouth, 11,200 against Villa, 11K against Everton. So he's going to be just ultra popular in cash formats for good reason. Like there's no real reason to get off of this when he's putting up these numbers. He's just been so good. He even had a good floor against Newcastle without a goal contribution. So yeah, everyone's he's going to be the most owned player on the slate, almost guaranteed. He's going to be probably 100% owned or close to that in cash. There's no real reason to get too, what's the word, too geeky, it's not the word I was thinking of, but there's no real reason to kind of really get off that in cash formats. In GPP, I could see a path to not having Holland just because he's going to be so owned. There's an ownership leverage angle there, but it's just risky because he's got best goal contributions on the slate. It's only a 3-game slate here, so there's not going to be a ton of differential you could even do regardless, just because there's a lack of other options. But like you can definitely get off of it. Like you can go like Doku Semenyo, or you can go like a build where maybe you have a build where a GPP build with the unlikely scenario that Man City someone get like shut out. You play I don't know, the Leeds goalie, fade Holland, and you play for that. Play some studs in the other games. Hope like maybe Leeds get a 0-0 on the upset, or maybe Man City win, but Holland it just happens to not do anything. He's got like so many more goals than the rest of the team. You got to think some other guys have to contribute a little bit more than they have. So yeah, there's that aspect. But I'm telling you now that I will be probably overweight on Holland, even at his probably absurd ownership, just because like, it's just a smash spot for him. Other forwards to think about, Semenyo, if he's healthy enough to start, he's been pretty good this season. Doku had a little bit more of a floor than Holland. Of course, you're trading that for the kind of obscene upside that you get with Erling. Thiago, who we saw those pretty great goal contribution odds, he's been priced up a ton though. Look at that. He's been like a 5 to 6K guy. Now he's up to 9. It is slightly understandable with the lack of other games in this slate with a good matchup for Brentford, but that is definitely not cheap at 9K. He's still definitely in play. Like he's got best goal contribution odds on the slate, second to only Holland. Other guys, I'd be tempted by Marmoush, Ouattara, I think are all right options. Jack Harrison, if he starts, that should be lead sets for him. He's got taken quite a bit, even with the Longstaff and Stosh will split sometimes, even with those guys. It is just a tough Man City matchup is the only thing that is an issue with that. Evan Nielsen, if he starts, I think that's a super interesting play. And then Savinho, who I'm going to love a lot at 4,700. He's just so cheap for some Man City exposure. He's got a really great floor too. Look at that. He's got like more than a point average per 10 minutes in his 2 sub appearances, 3 sub appearances if you count that 17-minute cameo against Bournemouth too. So I like Savinho a lot. Like he can go 90s and 85 minutes too. That's a bit of a pep roulette minute situation with him. Like he's got so many factors that he just kind of rotates through them pretty crazily. If Savinho starts like 4K, it's just an absolute steal. I love that. And Evan Nielsen's probably more GPP pivot if you're interested in that over a Savinho. Other cheaper mids I'd be tempted by Dan James at 4K. I don't think is awful. Once again, you're just picking another tough Man City against Man City play. And then the other guy I want to mention is Jaden Anthony, who I like as a player, and I'm not overly scared of Bournemouth. I know Burnley have kind of just dropped off a little bit here, but they've had a pretty tough run. Other than the West Ham game, they lost, and they still scored 2 goals. But then they had like Chelsea and Arsenal sandwiching that, which is tough places to play. So I don't mind going to Jaden Anthony against Brentford. Midfielders now. Phil Foden, I love a lot. Like I always have him in my core pretty much come game day. It has hurt him a little bit now that Ryan Cherky's basically gone to a straight split with him. His floor has dropped a tiny bit. He's gone from like a 15 floor player to probably 10 to 7. But he gets a ton of goal contributions. He's a solid City piece. He's pretty consistent for minutes. Largely, he's got a ton of 90-minute games under his belt. So I love Foden here. Damsgaard, I love as a player. Another guy who's kind of dropping off with his set share being taken away from a little bit with the emergence of these Dango Ouattara set pieces. But he's probably Brentford's most talented player, so I like him a lot in general as well. He's a solid option. He probably needs a goal contribution to get there, but they're playing home Burnley. It's a good spot for it. Tavernier, I think, has been pretty good this season. He's been on pens too, which helps him quite a bit. Another guy who's consistent for 90 minutes. You worry about the set situation with David Brooks, of course. But like if David Brooks gets subbed at 60 every game, even if he does have priority over Tavernier, you're still getting 30 minutes of set pieces probably with him because he just doesn't get subbed. So I like Tavernier here. Aka, I think, is probably a little bit lacking in the upside, but I don't think he's crazy. Another guy who's just super consistent for minutes. David Brooks at 5,600. I missed somebody. Oh yeah, Cherky was who I was going to mention. I like him a lot as well. He's just kind of mini Foden right now. Both kind of They both kind of play like these dual number 10 positions. They roam a little bit, and just two complementary city pieces really. But the issue with Cherokee is that he's a little bit more inconsistent than minutes than Foden, but you're getting him at a discount, so he's a good option as well. Reinders at 5K. I'm intrigued by, same with David Brooks. Lefty at 5K. I don't think that's a bad option. In terms of these true bargain barrel punt mids here, the only guys I really consider like Lewis Cook at 3,500, and the other one, where is he? Similarly to Cook, Alex Scott, although he's a little bit more pricey at 5,500. Defenders, I like Troopert a lot. I like Eight Nori. Hartman is always a guy I'm willing to get behind. It's pretty consistent. He kind of gotten through these two tough games against Chelsea and Arsenal. He still had 5 floor, which is pretty solid considering how tough those matchups are. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like the highest scoring Burnley play in both those games, with how tough that those games were for Burnley. So I like Hartman a lot. I think he's car worthy like he would be on most slates just because it is a city slate. You're going to prioritize that, especially with your salary. And Hartman's pretty pricey now at 5,400. He's no longer like a 3K defender that we had at times earlier in the season. Still, solid option there if you want to pay up a defender. Other guys I'd consider, not a ton, like center back punts like DS. These Brentford fullbacks like Ayer and Coyote, who is right there. Like they're not obscenely priced. I think they're both solid options. Hickey, if he starts 2,800, I think that's a solid option. Jimenez, if he starts at fullback, that's a cheap fullback there. Yeah, it's the center backs for Brentford, I think, are not bad little punts either, like a Pinnock, a Nathan Collins, Vandenberg, really whoever starts there, I think is in play. But yeah, three gamer, nice little slate here. Goalkeeper, crapshoot. And in terms of our core, there's going to be for cash. Like you can definitely get off of these guys in GPP for sure, especially this first one, which is Holland. The next play I'd go is Phil Foden. I like him and Turkey both. Just like I said earlier, the edge I think for a Foden over Turkey is just the more guaranteed minutes. Okay, I just put three guys in once. But yeah, I like Foden a lot here. And the other play that I would go is a Savinho, who is just really nice salary relief and another piece of city exposure in the roulette wheel. But yeah, guys, that's all I got, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.